Welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk. I'm Dave,
I'm Mike.
and this week we're going to do an album that was actually recommended to me by a neighbor, and it's called Long Lost by a band named Lord Huron.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this. Now, there's nothing on the front to tell you what it is, but you have to look on the side. Really, I don't know if you can. I'm trying to get that in there. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Long, it's
Oh, it's
upside
actually
down.
upside down. This light's blinding me here.
Yeah, it's kind of there. You go, right
There
there.
it is.
Long lost.
I'm gonna tell you one thing about it is I'm kind of a stickler for album covers, as y'all all know. Which a couple weeks ago, the best thing about it was the album cover. But this one, it's like a book, man. I mean, you can see how it's got the binding on there, and then it's hard, just like a book. It's crazy. So it's got all your lyrics in here. It's got some cool pictures. All these pictures were done by Ben Snyder, which is the singer, guitar player, songwriter. So he painted all these himself because he went to, I want to say, University of Michigan and did painting through there. Got some more stuff here. So it's a pretty interesting story about this record. Um, Basically just goes through everything. And I like it because it's got the light background with the dark writing. To me, I love that because it's easy for me to read. So the story about this record is they've been recording their stuff at a place called Whispering Pines Studios, which they found abandoned, and it was abandoned for like 20 years. So they refabbed it and they've been recording their records there. Well, they also use it to like hang out and, write and do whatever. Well, they came up with this idea for this record. And what it is they've always tried to figure out the spirits that may have been in that studio, right? So they never could really place it, and they couldn't know. They found a couple people that have played in the studio, but not really much history of it. So they created a history, and this record is basically them making up a band that played there through the years. So what is basically ghosts. It's the ghosts and spirits of the studio is what the
Okay.
whole premise of this record's about.
Okay.
And they have an MC on here, and they call him Mr. Tubbs Tarbell. So he comes in every now and then and he talks. Well, in the video you'll see him. He's got a hat on, a cowboy hat, and he's like the main ghost. So he's the main character through this whole record. And
Mhm.
then these songs are all written as if these ghosts were in a band, and these were the songs that they were putting out through the years in the
Uh-huh.
studio, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, it's cool, which is also why you see that these faded faces, I believe. I guess it's got more than one meaning, kind of ghostly faces, but also blow your mind type thing, or confusion or depression, whatever, you feel. The whole band is like that. You can see he's got all their heads
Yeah.
done. So um, it's an interesting record. It, on the back of it, it said this recording is intended to be enjoyed in sequence and without interruption. And I will tell you that that is the only way to listen to this record, because it's not a record that you're just going to hear a song off of and just be like, wow, that's a great song. It does have a couple of really good songs on here, but mainly you have to go from front to back to understand what's going on, even though they all their own entity. But it's kind of a strange little thing. You got a few of them that are only a couple seconds where Tubbs Tarbell comes in and talks. And then there's a couple little 1 minute songs that are kind of segues to the next song.
Yeah.
So it's 16 songs on here, but in all actuality, it's only like 9 actual songs because you have so much other stuff going on. So anyway, there's what the CD looks like. I meant to show that to y'all. I didn't do that. So the band consists of Ben Schneider. He's the singer, guitar player, does most of the writing. And then they have a guy named Miguel Brasino. He's the bass player, plays keys. Tom
Um,
Renaud is a guitar player. And then Mark Berry is the drummer. And they have a bunch of strings and orchestration on here. Now, the whole thing was recorded in LA before COVID, but during the COVID, they couldn't get any of their strings and stuff in. So they went to Sweden and got all the orchestration done. So all the orchestra stuff you hear was all done in Sweden
Okay.
because they were still opened up. So um, that's just a little bit of the history of it. We'll run through the songs real quick. First one is The Moon Doesn't Mind. It's a 1 minute song, kind of like an intro to the album. And then it comes into their first, I think this might have been their first single off the record. It was called Mine Forever, which has a video out. And to me, it's got an old style about it. It's kind of like there's a lot of reverb going on, so it gives you that old style recording sound. You got that old surf guitar sound. You got a lot of vocals with reverb on it, so it's sort of as if it was trying to simulate being recorded back in the 50s to me.
Right.
It's
Right.
got an old rock and roll-ish country kind of sound about it. Great strings on it. The song sounds a little bit like that If You Ever Go to San Francisco song. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I don't know who does that song, but it's a real old, if you ever go to San Francisco, whatever. Anyways, but it sounds to me a little bit like Roy Orbison. It's got some Roy Orbison in there. And then there's a breakdown in there that is totally My Girl. I mean, it's straight from My Girl, do,
Right.
do, 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 and they have a lot of that actually going on through here. Third song is called One Hell of a Performer, which is just Tubbs talking, and that's only 22 seconds. And then it comes to a song called Love Me Like You Used to. And that song reminded me a lot of Lyle Lovett. I mean, the way it was written, the voice doesn't exactly sound like Lyle Lovett, but the way that song was written had a lot of country, like not so much country, I guess like a folk country, maybe, if that's a thing.
Well, yeah, you call it adult alternative now, you know.
Yeah, I suppose. Because
That's
I thought it was more of a um, Americana type record, but to
well,
me, it's got more of a country sound to it.
that's why they put the adult alternative. Americana and adult alternative are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah,
It's because I mean, face it, there's only really people like our age really listening to this stuff. I mean,
mhm.
we might find some younger people here or there. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're more into Pink Floyd and stuff,
right, right, right.
they're not into the rockabilly or the a lot of what I like I said earlier that I heard by these guys was kind of like a dreamscape type, it was just
Yeah,
real mystic, really out there. And if I had known that we were focusing on this album here, I would have just concentrated on it. But I just put it on random
yeah,
play on Amazon. And like I said, I picked up the Vidi Noir,
yeah,
started off with that one. And I didn't know what to think at first. But then when this album started playing, their songs hitting here and there, it was like,
mhm,
okay, it's starting to make a little bit more sense as far as I
right.
like the direction that it's going in. My wife really liked what she heard of it. She's
Yeah,
like, I really like this stuff.
it does have a little bit of that rockabilly sound, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Um, to me, it sounds like it was recorded like something like maybe Sun Records would have done back in the day, with the
Well,
just because there's so much reverb, it's very infatuated with reverb, man.
well, at that
Uh,
time, Chet Atkins was the one that invented that big in that studio there in Nashville. He took like an oil drum, 50-gallon oil drum, and a bunch of piping and ran it all through the studio.
yeah,
He put a microphone inside the oil drum, put a microphone in front of the amp, and mixed the two.
yeah,
And you get that real, oh my gosh, it's just a huge reverb type sound.
yeah,
And that's what everybody was going for at the time because Chet Atkins did it. Yeah.
yeah. I always like that spring reverb just best, man.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
makes a lot of noise when you hit it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the fourth song, excuse me. And so we got to the fifth one. It's called Meet Me in the City, and it's like an old blues style song. it reminds me a lot of like an Elvis or a Johnny Cash song, you
Uh,
know, and a lot of this album has that feel about it.
right, right,
Um,
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Gene Vincent type stuff, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then we get to 6, which is another talking thing for Tubbs. He's in there talking, and then 7 is Long Lost, and it's got that 50 sound again. It's kind of a haunting sound. Got
Hmm.
a lot of strings, a great string thing on the chorus, man. I love a lot of the strings and the orchestration they got going on.
Right.
So it's really good song. But then it starts to take a little bit of a turn for me as far as vocally. So we get to a song called 20 Years Long. This is number 8. And his voice sounds so much like Jackson Brown. I mean, the next few songs, it's like, I swear I thought I was listening to Jackson Brown. It
Hmm.
was crazy. The next one was Drops in the Lake. It's same kind of deal. Songs really, I mean, most of these songs seem like they're about lost, which is kind of why it's called Long Lost. But like ghost type songs. I mean, people are
Right.
dying and you're missing people and you're regretting what you didn't get to do in life and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So there's a lot of stuff like that on here. Then we get to a song number 10 called Where Did the Time Go? It's kind of a short song. It's like another minute and a half.
Hmm.
And that brings us into Not Dead Yet, which is a song that probably most people have heard off of this record. If you've heard of Lord Huron, you've heard this one. Um, so that song, he said he kind of wrote that one on tour, and he was looking at himself in the mirror, and he kind of wrote this saying, you look bad, you smell like alcohol, but you're not dead yet. So just keep on going. The tour's almost over. He said it gets that way, when you're on the road, you know how it is. And you
Oh, yeah.
start getting to the end of the tour, you feel like you're dead, but you're not.
Yeah.
So
You've left your fifth stick of deodorant at the motel.
yeah, I
You're
mean,
2 days out of no shower.
exactly, exactly. You smell bad, you look bad,
Have
you're
no
about.
clean clothes.
Yeah, yep. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's like that's kind of how he wrote that song. Then you get Tubbs comes back in for another one. And then there's a song called I Lied, which is a duet with a girl named Allison Pontier.
Yeah, I saw
She's
that.
a she's a new chick. She just put something out this year. She's got an EP called Faking My Own Death.
Hmm.
So I guess they're kind of on the same record label, maybe. I don't know. Not sure how they hooked up. Maybe they just knew each other from a while. But it's a good song. I do like it. It's a little sad, but Then you get to number 14. It's called At Sea, which is a quick song, but it's got some really good pedal steel work on here. And then uh, we get to the 15, which is called What Do It Mean, which is weird to me that they called it What Do It Mean, because it never says what do it mean. It's always saying what does it mean.
Right.
So it kind of rubbed me a little bit weird why they would do that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
and then you get to number 16. And 16, you probably didn't hear this one. It's called Times Blur. Times Blur. Okay. It's 14 minutes long and it's nothing but weird sounds, keyboardish type weird stuff.
Yeah. And I see that's the stuff that I was hearing in their earlier stuff, and it's funny you were talking about the vocals. And that's what I'm realizing as I look through the list of everything sets this album apart from the earlier stuff too. Most of their earlier stuff, and it's like I said, just sounded like shoegaze material.
Mm,
And most of the vocals were sang through a megaphone, it sounded like.
yeah.
And it had that dreamy synthesizer,
Right.
whirly, watery sound going on all the time. And the
Yeah.
guitars were like just whining and
Yeah.
the drums are barely being hit. And it was like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But then I got to hearing these songs in the mix too. And it's like, well, okay, I'm glad they cleared the vocals up and stuff.
Yeah, and it still has that. Well, first, real quick, I'll finish up the number 16 called Times Blur. It's 14 minutes long. Probably most people are not even going to listen to this song. I don't even know why they put it on here. They could have shortened it down to 4 minutes. I still wouldn't have wanted to hear it. But
Yeah.
the cool thing about it is it's every song on the record is mixed into this sound somehow. So they kind of did a lot of movements with these weird sounds, and it's parts of each one of the songs.
Huh.
So it's kind of, it made it interesting, even though I'm still not going to go sit through 14 minutes of it.
Right.
But
Right.
so yeah, but like you were saying, I mean, all the stuff on here, it's very haunting sounding. It's got those ghostly backup vocals. You got a lot of reverb.
Yep.
You have a lot of those atmospheric movements going on, and the whole thing throughout this whole record, you get a Roy Orbison vibe. There's like that My Girl type rhythms going on a lot. The drums are in the back, but there's some really good ghost note stuff going on, which I don't know if it's because of the ghost thing that he did a lot of ghost note stuff, but it's got some good snare work on it.
Uh-huh.
The bass was solid, but nothing really stuck out. The problem that I had with the guitar is every song had that heavy reverb, and it was just too much for me at some points, because it's like, we get it, you can play surf guitar, let's move to a different sound, but the whole
Right.
thing kind of flows together. It's almost like one big giant song. And the album is set up like Tubbs Tarbell is like a Porter Wagner variety show type thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So each song kind of is like the band coming on, and this is who they are, and they're going to do their song. And so it kind of has that same flow. You hear crowds in the background and stuff. It's a really neat idea, but it's a really slow moving record. So something that you would probably just get a glass of wine, kick back, read a book, and have it playing,
Yeah. Yeah.
not anything you want when you're at a party. So uh, I mean, I like it. It took me 2 or 3 listens to really understand the premise of the record. Once I got more into the words and the ideas that they were going for, I liked it more. And it is a thing that you do have to start and end, go all the way straight through. Just put it in 45 minutes, knock off that 14-minute song, you know, and it's not bad. I mean, honestly, uh, I don't know. It was a little slow for me, you know. I get why some people really like this band because they do have talent. Ben Schneider is a great songwriter. I just felt like all the songs sounded similar to me. Everything I heard was nothing I didn't hear on the last song, So
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I got to say is they didn't change up the tonality of the instrumentation at all.
no,
All kind of drifted from one song to the next. There was nothing that was really make it stand alone.
right. And I mean, there are people that probably follow them, and I'm sure you can catch them at festivals or whatnot. But I mean, I don't know. I like the record for what it is. But I don't. I mean, I'm not. I may go back and listen to some of their stuff. I may not. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not hating on them. It's not for me mostly. It had 2 or 3 really good songs. The pedal steel work was great. A guy named Greg Lease. I've never heard of him before. I've actually never heard of anybody on this record before.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, anyway,
Well, yeah, and I think that's what one of the real issues is that I'm having with it, because I don't think there was a producer or an engineer on hand that was really well experienced that could have maybe tweaked a knob here or there, or had them do something
yeah.
a little bit different here or there to put something over the top.
Well, it was
And
produced by Ben Schneider and then Mark Berry. He also produced it and engineered it. So
yeah,
I mean, those were, you got the whole band doing you have the band doing it all basically.
yeah,
And it
and I
could
mean,
be because of COVID, I guess, but I think
there's
the
no,
production was okay. I just thought that they were too heavy on the reverb a lot, man. And it was like, gosh,
yeah. Well, that was my thing, and like I said, I didn't know that we were just doing this album. I figured we were doing the newest thing, and that's what I looked up,
Yeah. That would
and I
have been
wound up
this
with,
record. Yeah.
and I just put it on random play, and it just played pretty much their whole catalog.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. I don't
and
know anything about their early stuff. So this is the first
um,
experience I've had with them. So
I was having a hard time getting through the earlier stuff. I really was. I mean,
yeah.
but I'm not taking that away from anybody, because there is a movement out there for this kind of material.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's not what you're hearing every day on the radio for sure.
Uh,
So,
it's not my cup of tea.
yep.
A lot of the stuff I heard later on, as it started bringing in the cuts off of this album, just reminded me of, it could have been soundtracks for movies or something,
Yeah. I think a lot of it could be for sure.
you know, which,
It probably would make a
but
good movie if they
yeah,
put it out.
I think it would make a good movie soundtrack, because the music's not enough to distract you. It
Mhm.
doesn't have that.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't have those heavy hooks that go, wait a minute, listen to that music in the background.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that,
Yeah. And I
And
mean, two of the songs that really stand out are definitely Mine Forever and Not Dead Yet. Those are the two that they would get stuck in your head.
right.
Um, 20 Long Years is a good song. I Lied's a good song. I think the songs themselves are good. I just I just kind of got lost because it was just kind of similar and a little bit on the boring side, really, to be quite honest.
Good
Um,
demos. They're good
but
demos.
still good record though, man. I
Yeah, it
still
is.
liked it. I really love the cover. I think it's for them doing it all. I mean, what a cover. I mean, it's one of the best covers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's literally a book, man. It's crazy. So I mean, I don't know if you're rating this one or not. I'm gonna give it a 7.2. I don't think it was enough to put it over the 3/4 mark for me. I like the songwriting. I like some of the string arrangements were great. There was some great arrangements in here. I just felt like they needed a couple more songs that sounded a little bit different from every other song on here. If they could have did a little something to, cut the reverb off every now and then, maybe pick a song up a little bit every now and then. It was just all the same kind of flavor, you know. So it
Yeah.
kind of drolls on a little bit, and at some point you're like, okay, we've heard this. Let's get to the next one. Now I do like the interaction with Tubbs Tarbell. It was cool. He comes in, he talks for a few seconds, and then you're on to the next song.
Mhm.
So, and I like the thought about, the ghost in the studio thing, and I do dig that. But I
It's
just
funny.
couldn't put it over 7.2, man. I
Yeah,
really,
I'm not going. I'm gonna back out of this one. I'm not gonna rate it, because honestly, I don't think I gave it a fair listen,
yeah. I think if you
because
go back and listen to it from front to back, you may like it a little bit better.
yeah, I'm sure I will. I mean, and believe me, there was stuff that caught my ear as I was listening today.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I first start listening to albums and stuff, I just put it on and piddle around and do other things while I'm
Yeah.
listening to it, just to get used to hearing it.
Hmm.
And that's basically what I did today. And I went through probably their whole repertoire that's available on Amazon twice.
Right. Yeah.
So I've got a lot of mixed feelings about the earlier stuff as compared to this.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this one again. I'm not gonna rate it at this point.
Well, I think
I
what
do.
you'll get when you listen to it, you're going to get a Roy Orbison type feel about it. It's going to
Yeah.
have, some Jackson Brown vocal work. Definitely the second half of it. He sounded a lot like Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
Some of the writing reminds me of Lyle Lovett.
Mhm.
It takes you, there's a couple points where you have like a Beach Boys sound going on, even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't have all those vocal work like the Beach
Right.
Boys, but the sounds of the instruments and how it was recorded reminds me a lot of what they were doing back then. And it's pretty cool because it's kind of nostalgic in a way.
Mhm.
But again, it's an atmosphere, mood setting type album.
Yep.
Not anything that's going to turn your head and say, "Oh, what was that?" But it's pleasurable
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're in that mood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So like I say, I'm not going to rate it. I'm going to give it
Yeah.
another ear, and
Well,
just
maybe what I
let
was
it go from
talking with
there.
you might go back and listen to it now that you understand what's going on, and you might be like, hey, it ain't too bad after all. So,
Right. Yeah,
like
exactly.
I said, I never listened to their other stuff, and this is my first experience with them. I just heard of them a week ago,
Yeah.
and maybe 2 weeks ago,
And I'll
and
tell
that's
you,
it. So I just did a little bit of research this week on them, and
I'll
I
tell
mean,
you,
it's okay. It's not bad.
I'll tell you a band that kind of falls into this same category a little bit was Billy Bragg and Wilco.
Mhm.
I had a hard time when I first heard Wilco, but the more I listened to them, the more I liked what they were doing. And the
Yeah,
more I researched them and looked into what they were doing, it's like the drummer, he was constantly inventing ways of getting different sounds. I mean,
yeah,
putting tambourine jingles on his snare, poking holes in the snare head so he could attach tambourine jingles to it. So when he hit it's
yeah.
just getting all these weird sounds, it's just like, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, this is something that yeah, from what I gathered and from understanding a little bit more what's going on right now, it seems like it's something that they're building on, and it's just like any other thing, it's
Yeah.
it's all a work in progress.
Yeah, I like the old school feel about it. I think it's pretty cool. Maybe the next one they'll step it up even more of a notch. Just look by what you're saying about their older stuff. Sounds like they're progressing anyway.
Right, right.
So, and some bands love. I mean, some people love this band. I mean, I was seeing people talk about real highly about them, and and I guess there is an avenue for this. And I'm sure uh, that they have a pretty big following. And
I don't know. I might
check it out. I mean, if y'all should check it out. Just give it a listen. You're not gonna listen to it and say, "Wow, this is like the greatest band of all time," and it's not gonna turn your head. But if you sit down, read some of the words, get into what's going on, I think you'll like some of it. So, like I said, I'll give it a 7.2. Lord Huron, great album cover. Love the
oh,
album cover. I like the art too, man. I think it's pretty cool. Um, you know, 7.2 for me. Michael come back in a couple weeks and he'll give his grade on that one later. So
yeah. Yeah. And the thing is I don't know. When I retire, maybe I can get myself in the mood to really put this music in perspective. But right now I gotta hang on to my CDL right now.
yeah. I get you. I get that. That spirit could come from all kinds of ways.
Yes.
You could create your own spirit. You might be seeing them ghosts if you
Yeah, I don't know.
do the right. If you pollute yourself the right way, you could probably see the ghost.
I don't know if I can bring myself to that point, but
Just get you some wine, a cigar, a kickback, throw it on in the background while you're
that's
watching
right.
traffic go by or something.
That's right. There you go.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's it for this week.
yeah,
Lord Huron, check it out. And until next time, you guys stay safe.
that's right. Peace out and listen to the music.